Part 1. Discovery in the Wastes. The planet of Viridian 7 was not kind to visitors. Its skies were a dull green, heavy with dust storms, and jagged rocks stretched as far as the eye could see. Human explorers rarely stayed more than a few hours outside their ships, and even fewer returned with stories worth telling. Commander Elias Kane, however, was not the type to leave until he had discovered something important. He was an engineer by training, but exploration was his true calling. The abandoned research station he had found on the edge of the northern wastes had been marked as a failed expedition site decades ago. No human had dared approach it since, but Elias's curiosity would not let him turn away. The station's walls were cracked and scorched, a testament to some disaster that had befallen it long ago. Panels of broken glass rattled in the wind, and strange metallic shards littered the ground. As Elias stepped carefully through the ruins, his eyes scanned every shadow. His hand rested on the sidearm at his hip, more out of habit than need. Then he heard it. A faint, uneven sound, something like a whisper, but broken and weak. His heart skipped a beat. The sound came from the far corner of the station, behind what looked like a reinforced cage. Elias approached cautiously. The closer he got, the more distinct the sound became. It was the soft, desperate sobbing of someone in distress. And then he saw her. Inside the cage was a small alien girl, no older than 16 in human years. Her skin was pale blue, almost luminous under the dim light, and her large, violet eyes glistened with tears. She was thin, trembling, and without clothing, her body weak from long neglect. The cage itself was built of thick metal bars, reinforced with alien technology that pulsed faintly with energy. Elias knelt before the cage. He knew instantly that she was alive. Barely, but alive. His heart clenched at the sight. "Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you," he said gently, though he was unsure if she could understand him. The girl flinched at his voice, curling back against the wall of the cage. Her sobs grew louder, mixing with quiet hisses that seemed like her way of speaking. Elias studied her, carefully. Her species, though he could not name it, was clearly intelligent. She had delicate features, long fingers, and a presence that suggested deep resilience, even in her suffering. Elias moved slowly to the side of the cage, searching for any sign of a lock or mechanism he could manipulate. "I'm going to get you out," he whispered. "Hold still." "Okay." The girl tilted her head slightly, as if unsure whether to trust him. Her violet eyes were wide, filled with fear and confusion. She was trembling, but there was a spark of hope there too. Small, fragile, but unmistakable. Elias examined the lock. It was unlike anything he had seen on human technology. Alien energy circuits ran along the bars, glowing faintly in response to his touch. He frowned. His engineering skills were strong, but this was a puzzle. He took a deep breath and began to work, his fingers moving quickly and precisely, rerouting energy and bypassing the lock's security mechanisms. Minutes passed, though it felt longer. The girl watched him the whole time, her sobs softening into quiet hiccups. Elias glanced up. Almost there. Just a little more. A soft click echoed through the station. The lock's energy field flickered and died. Elias lifted the cage door. Carefully, he reached inside and touched her arm gently. "Come on," he said softly. "You're safe now." The girl flinched at his touch but did not pull away. Slowly, shakily, she allowed him to lift her out of the cage. She was light in his arms, but her small frame trembled violently. Elias wrapped his jacket around her shoulders, giving her warmth and a small shield against the cold, dusty wind. She pressed her face into his chest, letting out a long, shaky breath. Tears streamed down her face, leaving trails through the dust and grime. Elias's heart ached, He had rescued many people in his career, but this was different. There was something about her vulnerability, her quiet strength despite everything, that pulled at him in ways he had never felt before. "Don't worry," he said gently. "I'm going to get you out of here. I promise." The girl looked up at him then. Her large violet eyes met his, searching. She didn't speak, but her gaze was pleading. Elias nodded, understanding that words were not needed right now. Actions would speak louder. He helped her to her feet, supporting her as they moved carefully through the station. The alien girl's steps were weak, her legs shaky. But she followed him willingly. The wind outside whipped through the broken walls, tugging at their clothes and hair. But Elias guided her with steady hands and calm reassurance. As they reached the exit, a new sound cut through the wind, a low hum, mechanical and ominous. Elias froze. He glanced at the horizon. Drones, patrol drones, scanning the area in regular patterns. The militant group that had captured her must still be searching. "Stay close to me," Elias whispered, pulling the girl behind a crumbled wall. He could see the drones now, hovering in the distance, their sensors scanning the ruins. If they were spotted, the girl would be recaptured, and he could not allow that. Using his knowledge of terrain and shadows, Elias led the girl along narrow paths and rocky outcrops, avoiding the drone's sensors. She stumbled once, and he caught her before she fell. "It's okay," he murmured. "You're safe with me." For a moment, she relaxed, allowing herself to trust him. Elias noted how quickly she seemed to understand his intentions without words. Her species must be intelligent, capable of learning quickly. Hours passed as they moved through the wastes, and Elias began to feel a connection forming between them. She was small, fragile, yet her presence carried an unexpected strength. Her survival instincts were sharp. She noticed every detail in the terrain, every sound in the wind. He realized she had not survived this long without resourcefulness and intelligence. As night fell, the wind calmed slightly, and the stars above Viridian 7 shone pale and distant. Elias found a small cave, hidden behind jagged rocks, and led the girl inside. He lit a small portable lamp, casting a warm glow over their shelter. "Rest here," he said softly. "I'll keep watch." The girl curled up on the floor, still trembling. But for the first time, there was a hint of relief in her eyes. Elias sat nearby, scanning the horizon for any sign of pursuit. His mind raced with questions. Who was she? Why was she imprisoned? And how had she survived alone in this harsh world? But for now, he pushed those questions aside. Elias watched her sleep, noting the small rise and fall of her chest, the way her hands clutched the jacket he had given her. A fierce determination began to grow in him. No matter the cost, he would ensure her freedom. He would protect her, not just because it was the right thing to do, but because he could not imagine leaving her behind. And as the stars shone faintly through the cave's entrance, the alien girl's soft breathing was the only sound in the silent, desolate world. For the first time in a long while, there was hope. The sun of Viridian 7 rose slowly, casting pale green light over the jagged rocks of the northern wastes. Commander Elias Kane woke before dawn, alert and tense. The alien girl was still sleeping, curled up in the jacket he had given her. She had not spoken a single word yet, but her eyes, large, violet, and cautious, had followed him constantly yesterday. Elias had been trained for dangerous missions, but nothing in his career had prepared him for this. Saving her from the cage had been one thing. Keeping her alive in the wild, far from human help and pursued by unknown enemies, was another. He packed his small gear quietly and whispered, "We have to move. They might be searching for you." The girl stirred at his voice and blinked at him. Her violet eyes reflected fear, but there was also a glimmer of trust. She rose slowly, wobbling on her thin legs. Elias offered his hand. She hesitated but placed her small hand in his. As they stepped out of the cave, the wind carried a chill that cut through his jacket. The horizon was empty for now, but the memory of the drones lingered. Elias knew the militant group that had captured her would not give up easily. They must have sent search teams across the wastes immediately after discovering her missing. He led her through narrow passes, jagged rocks providing cover. The alien girl's species was smaller and faster than humans, and her sharp senses quickly detected dangers he would have missed. She stopped suddenly, pointing to the distant sand where tiny shadows moved. Elias crouched and peered. Patrol drones, small and fast, glinting with sunlight, scanning the ground. "Stay low. Don't move unless I tell you," Elias whispered. The girl nodded, pressing herself against a rock. She shivered, not from the cold, but from fear. Elias moved first, using the jagged rocks to block the drone's sensors. The girl followed, copying his movements instinctively. She had learned quickly, faster than Elias had expected. Hours passed as they moved carefully through the harsh terrain. Elias used his knowledge of alien environments to create temporary distractions. Rocks tipped to roll, sand shifted to leave false tracks, and debris arranged to trigger minor noise diversions. Each time the drones approached, they would divert, leaving the human and alien hidden in the shadows. Despite the danger, Elias found moments to watch her. She was quiet, observing everything. Her eyes darted over the terrain, scanning for threats. Her small hands touched the rocks, memorizing the paths. Even without speaking, she showed intelligence, survival instincts, and a remarkable resilience. Finally, they reached a dry riverbed, a rare flat space among the jagged rocks. Elias let them rest for a few minutes. He offered her a small ration pack he carried. She hesitated at first, looking at it with wide, uncertain eyes. Then, with slow movements, she took it, unwrapping the contents carefully. Elias watched, trying to make her feel safe. "You don't have to eat fast. There's plenty," he said softly. "You've been alone too long. I can see that." She looked at him again. This time, she made a soft sound, almost like a hum. Elias tilted his head. It was not a language he recognized, but the tone was curious, not fearful. He smiled faintly. "It's okay. I don't understand you yet, but we'll figure it out." For the next hour, he drew simple pictures in the sand: sun, starship, food, water, and pointed to them, trying to communicate. The girl watched carefully, tilting her head at the drawings. Slowly, she began to respond, making symbols with her fingers in the sand. Elias realized she was trying to convey her understanding. It was slow at first. A simple star for night, a wavy line for water. But it was a start. He smiled, encouraged. This small connection was important. If they were to survive together, they needed to communicate. As they prepared to move again, Elias noticed something glinting in the distance. The wreckage of a ship. Its hull was torn, lying half buried in the sand. He signaled to the girl. She nodded, and they approached cautiously. The ship was alien, unlike any human design, but its technology was partially familiar. From her gestures, the girl seemed to recognize it. She pointed at the hull, then tapped her chest, then the ship, an indication that it had been a part of her life before the capture. Elias felt a surge of hope. Perhaps it could be repaired and used to escape the planet. He inspected the ship carefully. The hull was damaged, but the engines were intact. "We might be able to get it working," he whispered. The girl's eyes lit up, a small smile appearing. It was the first time he had seen her smile. Her trust in him was growing. Night fell quickly, and the planet's pale green moons rose in the sky. Elias made a small camp near the wreck, using materials from the ship to create a windbreak. They shared a small meal. And for a few hours, There was peace. The alien girl tried to speak again, her small voice producing sounds that were strange to human ears. Elias listened carefully. He began mimicking the sounds. And slowly, they started to form a basic system of communication. She pointed at objects, and he repeated the sound she made for them. Star, rock, fire slowly, step by step. They built understanding. In these moments, Elias saw her personality. She was cautious, but curious. She was scared, but determined. And she had hope, even if faint, for the first time in a long while. He realized that even in a universe so vast and dangerous, connections like this between species, between lives, were powerful. But the peace did not last long. In the early hours, strange sounds echoed across the riverbed. Elias froze, listening. Footsteps? No. Mechanical humming. The patrol drones. They were close. Wake up, Elias whispered. We have to move. The girl stirred and followed him silently. They ran across the rocks, Elias leading the way, using the terrain to their advantage. The drones were faster than expected, but the girl's instincts helped them dodge and hide repeatedly. One even crashed into a rock, disabling itself. Hours passed. Exhausted but alive, they finally reached a small canyon. Elias helped the girl climb to a hidden ledge. From there, they could see the planet's surface stretching endlessly, the patrols searching below. Good work, Elias said softly. You're brave. Smarter than I expected. The girl looked at him, her violet eyes wide, and made a small hum. It was almost a laugh. Elias smiled. They stayed hidden until the suns rose. Then Elias made a plan. They would return to the wrecked ship, attempt repairs, and escape the planet. The girl seemed to understand immediately. She ran ahead, pointing to the ship, gesturing with urgency. When they reached it, Elias assessed the damage. It's possible, he said, but it will take time, and we have to be careful those patrols will return. The alien girl helped in her way. She touched the ship's panels, tapping, pointing, and showing Elias how to reconnect some circuits. He realized she had knowledge of advanced alien technology, knowledge humans had never studied. Together, they began repairing the engines. The first night at the ship, as they worked by the light of the green moons, Elias saw a side of her few had ever seen. She smiled when a panel powered up, frowned when a circuit failed, and encouraged him with gestures when he struggled. For a small, frightened girl, she had courage that surpassed many adults he had met. Elias sat back, watching her for a moment. You've survived so much, he said softly, and you're still teaching me things? That's incredible. She looked at him, eyes bright with the first spark of trust, and made a sound that Elias now recognized as approval. Words were not needed. They had formed a bond stronger than fear. As the night deepened, Elias realized that their journey was only beginning. The planet was dangerous, the patrols persistent, and the ship far from ready. But together, they had hope. They had trust. And for the first time, the alien girl had someone who would fight for her, someone who believed in her worth, in her life. The stars above Viridian 7 twinkled faintly, distant and indifferent. But within the wrecked ship and the two unlikely companions, a small flame of hope burned bright. No one had believed the alien girl could survive. No one had thought a human could care. Yet, here they were, together, against the odds, beginning a journey that would change both their lives forever. And as dawn broke over the northern wastes, Elias knew one thing for certain. He would not let anyone take her from him. Not now. Not ever.